Hey guys, it's Selene and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making an easy yet precise recipe. We're making the Italian buttercream. So let's go over what we need. We need a pot to make our syrup and we need a candy thermometer. These aren't that hard to get and they're not that expensive if you don't have one. Just go to your local grocery store or Amazon and they should be like around $12. They're not that expensive, but you definitely do need one for this recipe. We also need a mixing machine to whip our egg whites. So for the ingredients, you'll notice that there is 2 portions of sugar. The first portion is what we will add into our egg whites to whip, and the second portion is for our sugar syrup that eventually we'll add into the recipe as well. So let's go over the ingredients and we can begin. So before we begin any steps, your butter must be, and I repeat,
must be at room temperature.
This is not the recipe to be playing with, so make sure that your butter is at room temperature. If it's not, your buttercream will not turn out and it will be a disaster. So butter must be at room temperature. We have our 2 cups of sugar and we have our water. So we're gonna add our sugar into the pot, add our water. And I'm going to use a whisk to gently move this around. Try not to get sugar on the sides of the pot, because when you start cooking it, you run the risk of crystallizing the sugar and you don't want that. If you so happen to get sugar on the edges, you can get a brush with some water and just clean the edges. I have placed my candy thermometer and I turned up the heat to medium high. We are waiting for it to come to 240 degrees, which is softball stage. Before that, when it hits 220, that's when we're gonna start whipping our egg whites. We have our egg whites. We will place these in our mixing machine. I'm not gonna start mixing it quite yet. Once again, it has to reach 220 or at least 225, no less and no more. You don't want to over mix your egg whites, because if you over mix it and then you add your syrup, you'll have, think of it like scrambled eggs. You'll have those little chunkies in there and you want your buttercream to be smooth. Alright guys, we have our egg whites in, our 4th cup of sugar, and our salt. Whip this on high speed. Alright guys, I have stopped my egg whites. I'll show you what the texture looks like. So this is soft peaks. You don't want to over whip it. If you want to bring it down to a slow level of speed, then you can go ahead and do that. If you want to stop it, that's completely fine. Our temperature is almost to where we need it. All right guys, we're getting really close. So once that temperature hits the 235, I'm gonna add this slowly. I'm gonna start the machine at a low speed and gradually go up. Once I have poured all of my syrup in there, I'm gonna put it up to high speed and just let it go. And we have made the meringue part of the buttercream. If you guys noticed, I used an ice pack. You do not need to use an ice pack, but this is my little cheap way of bringing that temperature down. I started mixing it on a high speed and gradually I started dropping the speed down. I ended up at a medium speed and I left it there for 15 minutes. The reason it took 15 minutes is because I was using the ice pack. I was just placing it on and moving it around, helping that temperature go down. If you don't use the ice pack, then obviously your time might be a little longer. So you're just letting it mix, you're not adding anything in there, just let it mix until that temperature comes down. So now we can add in our butter. All right, guys, let's see what we're working with here. This is looking beautiful. And you have made Italian buttercream. Look at how beautiful that is. So let's check smoothness. Yep, there's no chunkies. Smooth and beautiful and white. So let's go over the what ifs. What if you didn't listen to Selene and you used butter that wasn't at room temperature? Or what if I added my butter too soon and I didn't wait for the meringue or for the bowl to feel cool? So your butter is gonna eventually melt into your meringue and it will look crazy. Like, trust me, you will be able to tell. I've done this many times, but there is a way to fix it. If you have a torch, which a lot of people may not have a torch, I don't have a torch, but I do have one of these handy dandy things. They're not as strong, but it helps. So while you're mixing it, you can bring your torch or your little burner thing to your bowl as it's mixing, because either the butter was too cold and it's just not coming together. So you can bring that heat and just eventually it'll start creaming and coming together. Now, if you added the butter too soon, it may melt, and I would just recommend putting it on high speed. If by 10 minutes it doesn't come together, I am sorry, but I can't help you there. You're gonna have to watch my video and remake it again. After that entire process, I hope that you did end up with some white, fluffy, beautiful buttercream. You can now start decorating cupcakes, cakes, all that wonderful stuff. This video actually ties into my next video that I'll be posting on my channel, how to properly coat a cake. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.